Hello, everyone. Today is Friday, August 14th, 2020. I know I had told my loyal listeners that I wasn't going to put out any content for a while. If you guys don't know, about 3 weeks ago, my father had passed, and it was hard. My family, we're going through some very difficult times right now. This is all new to me, so it's been really hard on me as well. And like I said, I wasn't going to put out any content, but I just really wanted to pay tribute to my father and have some sense of closure, almost, if that's what you want to call it. And originally I was going to interview my brother, but I think that would have just been a little too emotional. And my mother, her English isn't the best, so I invited one of my lifelong friends, TJ. Please say hello.
What's up? What's up?
And we grew up together. He knows both my parents, knew my father very well. We've been friends since we were in grade school. So he was at my house all the time, and vice versa. I would go to his house, and like I said, we grew up together. He knew my father very well, and just wanted to talk about my dad and his legacy. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about cancer and my father dying. And I know it's a very sensitive topic for some people, and trust me, it's very difficult for me to talk about as well. I might even cry during this episode. I don't know. But it is a very sensitive topic, and if that's something you don't want to listen to, I highly recommend that you turn this episode off now. But TJ, thanks for being here. First of all, I want to thank you, TJ, publicly, because you know exactly what's been happening the last few weeks, and you and your family have done a remarkable job in keeping me on the straight path, keeping my mind focused, having me over for dinner and whatnot. So I want to thank you and your family for everything that you've done for me in the last few weeks.
Right on, man. Well, first, let me just start with warning the audience already that there might be tears and you might start crying and bawling. But I didn't know you were going to try to make me cry right along next to you. I was joking. No, it's all good, man. I think we've had the discussion already about the understanding that, hey, it happens to everybody one day. We won't be here anymore. It's part of life, man. It kind of is what it is. We just got to hope to be able to spend as much time or communicate or just be part of people's lives as long as they're here and have as many good times with those people as possible. So that way we have something to reflect on, after they're gone, to be able to have good thoughts.
It is a part of life, but I'm going to tell you this right now. It's something that you can never prepare yourself for. And again, I'll kind of get into that here in a little bit. But first of all, man, how do we know each other? I know I mentioned that we've been lifelong friends, but I kind of want to hear it from you, man. How do we know each other?
Yeah, that goes back to school, man.
Like grade school almost, man. We literally grew up together, and I even know your wife. I know your wife. I know your wife since middle school as well. So I know.
Honestly, I know exactly when it started. It was when your brother. Me and your brother had that Michael Jackson fan club.
Oh wow!
Joe Yagwan and Hoyt Hennessy and Ricky Brown, but
those are obviously names that mean nothing to my listeners. But yeah, they're obviously friends of ours.
Reflecting.
Of course.
And then also, you meeting you and being part of the circle, and then us growing up in our tight-knit community, hanging out, doing things, being silly, being boys, being a crew. It was good times, man.
Getting into trouble.
Part of growing, man.
Getting into trouble. But so I talked a lot about my dad. I talked about how just how strict he was, how stubborn he was, um, and how I hated the fact that he made me work since I was 12 years old, right? And you know this, man, because like I said, you've been around, we've known each other for a long time. And that's something like I feel like I didn't have a childhood like a normal 12, 13-year-old would, because he told me from the very get-go, you have to learn how to work hard. That's the only way that you're going to get ahead in life. And you know that for a fact, man. I mean, you've been to the family business many times. In fact, you even helped us out at one time, re-renovating it. And I know everyone's father means something special to them. I will tell you this right now. My father, and I've said this 1,000 times, hands down, I have never met another man work as hard as he did. He worked 12-hour days. Man, and I'm getting emotional now.
That's all right, man. You gotta do what you do. You're supposed to, man.
He worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week for over 30 years. Never complained. And you know that, man.
But do you know why he did that?
Of course. He wanted us to work hard to get ahead in life. And that is a lesson. And I talk about this with my audience, man. That is something that no one can take away from me, man. I take pride in the hard work that I do. And you know what? I don't do hard labor like some. I work on the computer a lot. But I do put in long hours, and I take pride in that, man. And, man, those are lessons that, because, I talk about millennials a lot. I pick on them and the fact that how lazy they are and they don't have the work ethics like you and I do, man. And I'm so happy that I have the ability to put in a hard day's work. I think we're a little spoiled these days because we don't have the technology and we can do a lot of things on the computer these days. Our parents didn't have that, right? They didn't have the internet. Everything was done by putting in the hard days of work. So, yeah, man. I mean, that's one thing that I'm so grateful for is learning that from my dad, because again, I think hands down, hardest working man I've ever met. I have not met another man who worked as hard as he did.
The funny thing is, though, when you think about it, tell me if you agree, is now when you look back in retrospect, out of all those times where you were upset that, you had to go to work and help at the business and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But then all the times you might have thought, well, man, I wish my dad was here to be able to come see me do this, or was able to come with me here and there. In retrospect, it's kind of weird, I'm sure, for you now to be able to look back and just think to yourself how, I don't want to use selfish as the word, because a lot of times that's what happens to us as individuals. We're it's kind of hard for us to kind of gauge our selfishness for our thoughts of things that we want and what we want to happen. But in retrospect, it took him being the type of person that he was and the hard worker he was, and what I think a lot of people kind of miss through all that is the reason why that individual does that. There's so many people out there that don't work hard. There's so many people out there that look for opportunity being handed over to them. There's a lot of people out there that will take what they can get and be totally content. But people that are out there in the workforce and truly working and truly doing what they need to do, first and foremost for their family, is when we have to take a step back and be appreciative for the example they have shown us. And not just shown us, but us being fortunate to pick up on that and actually take that and use that in our own life.
Right. I want you, and I want to reflect on what you just said about hard work.
Because my dad was a hard worker too.
And he was and your father, he was a hard worker, and man, and I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't want to just pay homage to my father, man. But your dad, I just saw him for the first time. So here's the thing about TJ and I, man. We grew up together, but as we gotten older, and obviously you have a career and I have a career, and he has a family, and our relationship, like we would lose touch, but then we would get reacquainted every few years, and then within the past couple of years, man, we got reacquainted again, and we've been making an effort to really stay in touch and see each other on a regular basis now, and I'm so grateful for that. But man, I just saw your dad, man, for the first time in like 25 years the other day. Yeah. Not the other day, I'm sorry, but like about 6 months ago. Yeah. Man, it was so great to see your pops, man. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and man, he looked surprised. I looked surprised. We gave each other a huge hug, and man, seeing your dad was awesome. That was great. But oh gosh, I mean, but yeah, man, but going back to what you were saying about hard work, my parents came here. They were immigrants, okay, and they had a job. It wasn't the most glamorous job, man. And then from there, my mom used to work 2 full-time jobs, man. Right? She used to work 2 full-time jobs at one point, and then they worked hard enough where they were able to buy that business, the shop, and they wanted to. And I'm doing the air quotes here, the whole American dream. Now, I don't know if that was their American dream, but it was clearly what they worked towards. And they were eventually able to buy that business. And my gosh, man. And
it had to be their vision of American dream, man, because like you said, first and foremost, they're immigrants, came from another country. You look at all the stuff that your parents had as far as the monetary, as far as always having a nice car.
We never had a nice
house
car.
And all these, having the granddad, man. The granddad was really nice, man.
I mean, that wasn't nice, man.
The granddad was nice.
Look, the way my brother drove it, that was more like the Grand Slam, all right?
They had George Michael's in the back.
But the thing is, man.
But what if they had those opportunities if they would have stayed in there?
No, but I want you to think about how it all started, man. Okay, and this kind of pays tribute to how hard, and it's not just my dad, right? My mom was right there with him, man. Mm-hmm. But it pays tribute to just how hard that they worked. When they first came to this country, do you remember where we were living? I don't know if I knew you at the time, but we were in Seaside, living in the projects. And for the listeners, if you guys don't know what the projects are, they're public housing by the government for people who don't make enough money. That's where we were living for the first couple of years, and from there, they worked.
That's where we lived.
Exactly, and then they worked their asses off, and they moved us into that home, that one house, and from there. They were able to get the business, and oh my gosh, and like I said, man, my father, I know everyone's father means something special to them, but again, and I say this 1,000 times, I will yell it from the rooftop, I have not met another man who worked as hard as he did. 7 days a week, 12-hour plus days for over 30 years, man. And a lot of the things that we're talking about now, TJ, I know we talked about in private, man, but, we're going to have the same conversation again. for the podcast here. But but man, I mean, you know, and he was stubborn. He had very little margin for error, man. If he ever messed up, man, he would let you know, man. He made you feel like a little punk. But that's just how it was. Because again, he's trying to teach you the value of hard work. There's a pizza shop, and I know I told you this time. There's a pizza shop about 2-3 blocks from here. Okay, they don't have the best food. It's edible, right? And it's owned by a family, and I'm guessing they're probably from Afghanistan because they're Middle Eastern, and the owner is super nice. You know, I go in there at least twice a month. Okay, and like I said, it's not the best food, but I like going in there for 2 reasons. Number one, I always love supporting small businesses. Again, that comes from the fact that my parents were small business owners, so I love supporting local small businesses. But number two, I go in there because when I go in there, it reminds me of me and my brother growing up. It's family owned, and when I go in there, he has all 3 of his kids working there all the time. I swear, every time I go in there, he has his 2 daughters. And I'm gonna kind of guess their ages here. They have to be around. One has to be around 12, and then the other one has to be around 15. And then he has his oldest son. Uh, he's probably in his early 20s. And I was talking to the father, the owner, and I was like, man, I was like, you know what? I love coming in here and I love supporting you because you remind me of myself growing up, man. I'm like, you have all you kids working here. And he said the same thing that my father said, man, which is I need to teach them the value of hard work, right? And I love going in there, man, and I talk about it, man, and I feel like that's a lesson that's kind of being lost these days again because, man, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just, I feel like the value of hard work is really it's gone away, man. I don't feel like the kids are working hard as they used to. So, but, um, but man, so the last couple of months has been crazy for me. Uh, I had I was in the process. So my father, and everything happened so fast. It happened so fast. So in the last couple of months, I was already making plans to move to Orange County before my father passed. He was diagnosed with cancer, and so I was making plans because technically I'm working remotely, right, for my day job. And they said that we're going to be working remotely until January. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to relocate to Orange County until January and then see what they say. I can kind of reevaluate my situation then. So Pops was diagnosed with cancer about a couple of months ago, and I made the decision to go down there. And you know this, man, because you've been helping me the last couple of months, man. You know, when I was moving everything into storage and everything, and then I remember 3 weeks ago now, maybe 3.5, Mom called me. It was like 4 in the morning, and she doesn't ever call that early, unless right.
Yeah.
Because you know, like when it's like when you get a phone call like that at an odd time from a family member, you know something's happened, right? And when I saw that my mom was calling and I saw Mom on my phone, I thought I could have sworn that she was going to tell me that Dad had passed. But I answered it. She said, "You need to come down here now." And that was a Thursday. That was Thursday morning. Maybe it was Friday. But that was no, it was Thursday because Friday.
Saturday.
Yeah, no, it was Thursday, and I think I stayed in town on Friday, and I went down Saturday, right? Saturday morning, I went down there, and I saw Pops, and I'm gonna tell you this right now, man. This is the most heartbreaking thing that I have ever witnessed. When I saw my dad, his physical appearance had changed. He had, because you know, Pops, he was always kind of heavy set, right? I mean, I'm not gonna say he was like obese, but he was heavy.
He's just
But,
an old Korean.
yeah.
Like to play golf and eat good.
Right? But he had lost, and I'm trying to keep it together here. He had lost an extreme amount of weight. His physical appearance had changed. He knew at that point he was under a home hospice care.
Mhm.
Right? They had brought the bed in, the bed from the hospital. He was on morphine because he was in so much pain. And right before I went into the room, I told my brother, I'm like, what kind of condition is he in?
Mhm.
He goes, well, he's sitting up, waiting for you.
Mhm.
Fuck. I'm sorry, guys. I walked in. I'm sorry, hold on. Just give me a minute.
It's all good, man. Go through it, man. There's nothing wrong with it, Jay.
I walked in. I held his hand. He started to cry. And we started talking and whatnot. And it's like I was telling you in private. If you never witnessed someone dying from cancer, it is the most heartbreaking thing you will ever witness. I hope no one has to go through that. Because my thing is this: it's like you were saying, man. Death, at some point we're all going to go.
Mhm.
I just hate seeing people suffer,
Oh, yeah.
right? Um, and he was in a lot of pain. He suffered, and the only thing that I'm grateful for, it's like I was saying a couple of minutes ago, man. Everything happened so fast. The doctors had said he had about a month to 3 months to live. Thank God it didn't last for 3 months. Oh my gosh. So, and from what my brother was telling me, even though he knew he was sick, even though he had cancer, up until a week before he passed, he was mobile, he was able to go out, he was walking. My brother was saying at one point they had gone to In-N-Out Burger, like he was able to do all that. And within a week, he went downhill. And he hadn't eaten anything physical
Mhm.
for that whole week. He would drink water, and as I was telling you earlier, he would always ask for ice cubes. He would suck on ice cubes. That's all he ever wanted. But yeah, man, I hope no one ever goes through that, man. He was literally dying before our eyes, and it was the most saddest thing, and you can't do anything about it. You can't comfort him. You can give him morphine.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
So, when you got there and you said, you held his hand and you was talking with him and you guys got to talk, without getting into too much detail, because that's obviously your guys' was your guys' time to communicate and say what you guys needed to say to each other. But can you kind of elaborate on, at the least, his thinking of what he was going through at that time and what he wanted you to know about what he was experiencing, or how he wanted you to feel about what you thought he was experiencing? If that makes sense?
Well,
because obviously he knew that it wasn't going to be long. I mean, not many people get the opportunity
here's the thing.
know that their time is coming.
I think he knew he was going. Obviously,
Did he want to try to hide that from you as far as
No,
try to alleviate
no,
as much pressure for you? Or?
no. I think he knew that he was going. Um, one thing that he did say, and I told you this again, um, TJ is a brother to me, man. I tell this guy everything. Um, one thing he did mention was he said he would like for me, it's his wish, and this was one of his final wishes. He would want for me to live with my mom and brother and to kind of look after them. Now, I don't know about all that. I'm not trying to live with them. I can certainly live closer and check on moms on a regular basis. And mom's is up there in age too. She's 80 now, and she's healthy. I don't want to jinx anything, but she is healthy, and she's been so strong. Oh my gosh! You talk about a tiny lady who is so strong. Wow. But I think he knew that he was going. That's why, uh, we had that conversation. And, um, a friend of mine made this statement, and I don't know, because, I'm not trying to be funny or anything, but I don't know what it's like to die, right? But one thing my friend said was maybe he was fighting to stay alive to talk to you one last time. I don't know, man. I don't know if when you're dying like that, if you can control something like that. But I'm so blessed to have seen him, even if he was in that condition.
Oh yeah, you're so lucky because just think about all the people out there that don't get that opportunity to have, no matter how painful it is. I mean, look, we all hope or wish or through experiences that we've had with similar situations that, we would like to have that great conversation, everything be happy and hunky-dory. But again, under the circumstances of what you're going through of the moment, whether it's good or whether it's bad, just to be able to have that opportunity to say goodbye to somebody is a blessing in itself, man. Because I truly do believe that he waited for you to be there with your mom and your brother, for all you guys to be there around him. I know it was difficult for them, but I think that for a moment when you walked through that door and he made eye contact with you, there was like a moment in him that there was no pain. It was just joy.
Oh gosh, and I'm glad you brought that up, because what my mom was telling me was, despite all the pain that he was in, she was telling me just how happy he was that I was there. She said, "Oh my gosh, you don't understand how happy he is right now." And obviously, he can't show it because he's in so much pain. But she was telling me, "Gosh, he's so happy that you're here right now." And I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, for him to be in so much pain, and at the same time be that happy. Oh man, imagine that." So, but yeah, man, it's something I don't ever want to go through, and I hope no one ever goes through it themselves. And unfortunately, people do have cancer. People do die from cancer, and I'm sure there are hundreds of thousands of people, if not millions, that will go through this. And it's just, oh man, it's the only. I mean, I can't really give any advice. It's like, what do you say? The only thing that I can say is, I would say this. Even though this is still fresh, it's only happened a few weeks ago. That first week, man, I was an emotional train wreck. I kid you not, man. I'll be taking a freaking dump and I'll start crying. It was crazy, man. I was so emotional, and then the second week, it was a little better. Now the third week, and I'm much better again. But it's just, as it's like they say, time heals all wound, but
It's going to be a process, man.
but
It's
and what's crazy is, man, because of the whole COVID situation, right? So and here's the thing, man. I didn't, according to my brother, he's donating his body to UC Irvine for cancer research. I didn't even know you can do that, right? I know you can donate body parts, but I didn't know you can actually. And this is me coming from someone who works in a research field. Obviously, I don't do any research myself, but I didn't know you can actually donate your whole body like that. But apparently, he's donating his body to UC Irvine for cancer research. But right now, I mean, it's been 3 weeks. We don't even have a death certificate because apparently Orange County, they have one of the highest death rates from COVID-19 in California. Apparently the morgue's backed up. We can't even get a death certificate, and we can't do nothing without the death certificate. My mom wants to close like his checking accounts and stuff like that, but they won't do it unless she provides a death certificate to prove that he's actually deceased. So we can't do any of that. And that's the frustrating part, man.
You guys should bring him over there to the county office.
What do you mean?
So she can get, or to the bank or wherever, so that way she can get it closed.
What are you talking about?
I was being funny in the sense that I can't believe that they sit there and tell you this, and that it's like, because it's unfortunate because life goes on, and then for something like this, for a family to already have to deal with the loss of a loved one, and because of everything else that's going on, you can't even get a death certificate to be able.
We can't.
To
yeah, we can't. It's been
none of that stuff stops.
Because apparently what they told us was we're gonna mail you the paperwork. And it's been 3 weeks. And again, I've never been through this, right? But from my understanding, it only takes about maybe 10 days to get a death certificate. It's been 3 weeks now. I'm sure my mom would love to have some type of a wake or a service. I guess technically we can have one without the body and whatnot. But again, it's just, I don't know, man. And this is how crazy my mom is, right? She goes, "Oh, I know, son, you're in the middle of a move. If we do have a service, you don't have to come down. Just focus on your move." I'm like, man, this woman is crazy. Of course I'm gonna be there. But yeah, and that's the frustrating part, man, with everything that's going on. It's like, oh my gosh. But it's just, this has been it's been tough, man. It's been tough. I thought maybe having this conversation and putting it out there would maybe give me some sort of a closure. Who knows? I don't know. Maybe it'll help someone else out down the road when, if and when they have to go through the same experience. I mean, I have no words of advice because even if I did, I don't know. I mean, we're all different, man. I mean, we all take things differently, man. I would tell you this, man, and I was telling you this as well, TJ. My father was in so much pain. The moaning sound that he would make every few seconds because he was in so much pain, that's stuck in my head for the rest of my life. It's embedded in my brain, man. It would never go away. It's a sound that I will never forget, man. Gosh, God was in so much pain. But again, I'm glad it wasn't the 2-3 months that the doctor was saying. I'm just glad he literally passed within days.
Ask you another question. So with all this, and I know it's still fresh and it's still new, and again, it's going to take time for you because it is a process that you're going to have to deal with. But is there anything that you yourself at this point has learned about yourself through this situation?
Yeah, I learned that I was a selfish punk because I could have, especially at that age, I could have visited them more often. And I have, but, I keep asking questions like, oh man, I wish I could have been a better son. How could I have been a better son? And at the end of the day, man, I just realized how selfish I was. Yeah, so that's what I learned.
Through that, what do you think you have planned for yourself as far as moving forward? Like, what do you
Well,
see as
well, like I
far
said, man,
as
I'm in the position, I'm in the situation now where I'm moving, and ironically, I was already moving down there, so I'm relocating down there, um, and again, one of his final wishes was to be closer to my mom. So I'll be in Orange County. I'll be checking in on moms on a regular basis. Again, I don't know about all that craziness about living with her. That's not going to happen, man. That's not going to happen. But I'll certainly be down there. I can check in on her on a regular basis. But you know what? This is what I was telling you. Like, for you and a lot of my other friends here in Northern California, it's going to be like I never left because I see you about once or twice a month anyway, and I plan on being back once a month because technically my job is still up here, even though I'm working remotely. But I have a lot of business connections up here that I just can't leave behind. So I'll be back once a month. But man, this has been, again, it's been frustrating. At the same time, it's been very emotional, and I don't know, man. I wanted to do this episode. Now that I've done it, I don't know if I'm going to put it out. I probably will, man. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, man, how embarrassing is this that I'm crying and all this? But at the end of the day, I could care less. And I'm just, like I said, man, I'm just so grateful that I was able to have that final conversation with him. Um, what's funny is I actually made him laugh at one point when I was on there. All that pain he was in, man. I saw him giggle at one point. So, uh, that just kind of shows you, for my listeners, I was always like the class clown. I was always like the family clown. I would make my parents laugh, and uh, for me to be able to make my dad giggle, especially when he was dying, that was something else, man. That was something else. But one last thing before we go off air here, give me one memory of Pops.
all right, I'm gonna give you two.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we can sit here and talk. I got stories, but I'll give you two memories. One memory will be the night where this would be the memory where, yeah, Lauren did meet your dad. And that was the time that we got busted for being in the shop at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's funny.
Drinking beer and watching videos by the police because they thought we broke into the place. And when your dad came down there, and man, I think me and everybody else was just as scared as you and your brother were.
He was livid.
But that was pretty funny in retrospect. And then the other was how he always made me feel when I would go to the shop, even when you moved away or your brother moved away. I always tried to stay in contact with your parents whenever I was out there in the area, to the point where even with my kids, we'd be in the area and we'd always stop there. They always welcomed my kids and made my kids feel really special. Your moms would always feed us. Your pops would always tell your moms to go make us some food, and we'd go into the back of the shop and eat like kings. But he was always really gracious. He was, yes, always knew he was a hard worker, and he was a man, dude. Straight up.
Yeah.
Just take solace in that, man. He was an honest man, dude.
He loved your son. He loved Junior. So my memory, and this obviously involves you, my memory of my father with TJ is we had gone to the Oakland A's game. It was me, you, Junior, your son, and then my father. And you bring up your son. He absolutely loved Junior, and I remember we were at the game, man. I don't know if you remember this. He put his arms around Junior and said, this is my son. This is my son. I love him."
That's crazy.
Man, we got drunk that day, huh?
He was a good dude, man.
Yeah.
One thing that I never got to do with him though that I wish I did was get to go golfing with him. I know how much you like golfing.
Yeah. Loved playing golf. But man, hey, I really, really appreciate you doing this with me.
It's all good, man.
Again, this was something that I was contemplating whether I should do or not. I don't know, man. There's been times when I recorded an episode and I never put it out. I'll put this one out, man. You know what? If there's a lot of trolls out there when it comes to the internet. And they'll probably say some harsh things, but you know what? I have thick skin. I could care less, and I'll put it out there. I'll put it out there.
What it is, man.
And the listeners, you guys can.
This is your story, not his.
This is my story. This is my father's story.
Be proud.
Yep. All right, guys. Appreciate it, TJ. We'll catch up with you next time.